Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to be discussing computer science, paper code 2210, paper 12. The paper is of 1 hour 45 minutes. Let's start. Our first question is that the data can be measured in bits. Give the name of a data storage measurement that is equals to 8 bits. 1 byte is equals to 8 bits. State how many bits are there in a KB byte. There are 1024 bytes in a KB byte, and we have to find the number of bits, so we will multiply this by 8. So the final answer we get is 8192 bits. Give the name of the data storage measurement that is equals to 1024 GB bytes. It's going to be 1 tebibyte, which is written as T capital I and then a 16-color image has a resolution of 512 pixels wide by 512 pixels high. Calculate the file size of the image in KB bytes. Show all your working. First, let's calculate what the image size would be. The width of the image is 512 pixels and the height of the image is 512 pixels. In total, it's going to be 262144 pixels. We have calculated the number of pixels. Now we need to calculate the number of bytes. It is a 16-bit color image, so let's multiply the number of pixels by the bits. And to convert this to bytes, you would have to divide it by 8. We can simplify this. Our final answer would be 524.88 bytes. You have to convert this to KB bytes. We will divide this by 1024. And our final answer would be 512 KB bytes. Next question says data can be transmitted from one device to another. Tick one box to show which of the terms is not a method for data transmission. Serial is a method for data transmission. Simplex is also a method. Parallel as well. Parity check is not a method for data transmission. It is a method for error checking in data transmission. Data is broken down into smaller units to be transmitted from one device to another. Give the name of the unit that it is broken down into. So the data is broken into data packets, which are also known as datagrams. Data is often encrypted when it is transmitted from one device to another. Explain how data is encrypted using symmetric encryption. In symmetric encryption, we know that data is encrypted and decrypted using the same key. When we encrypt the data from plain text is encrypted to ciphertext using an encryption algorithm. Using a key. The key is transmitted to the receiver along with the data. Data is decrypted using the same key at the receiving end. Give the purpose of encryption. So the purpose of encryption is to protect the data and make it meaningless. If the data is intercepted by the hackers. Binary is a base 2 number system. Question 3 says binary is a base 2 number system. Give the name of the number system that is base 16. Base 16 number system is used by the hexadecimal. Next it says 3 denary numbers are entered into a computer. The computer converts the numbers and stores them as binary. Give the binary number that would be stored for each of the denary number. We have to convert this to binary numbers. we will start with the powers 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128. To make 10, we're going to put 1 under 8 and 1 under 2. The rest would be 0. For 50, we will put 1 under 32. Next, we need to put 1 under 16 and then 1 under 2. Because 16 plus 32 plus 2 gives us 50. The last one is 201. We would need to put 1 under 128. Then we would be left with 64. Next, we're going to put 1 under 8 and then 1. So 1 plus 8 plus 64 plus 128 is going to give us equals to 201. Explain why the data is converted to binary by the number. So we know that the computer uses logic gates, or we could even say switches, which have only on, which is 1, and off, which is 0, as the option for input of data. The computer uses switches, and switches have only two options. You can either switch it on or off. On means 1, or we also call it high. Off means 0, and we also call it low. So which is why we need to convert the data to binary so that the computer can understand it. The two binary numbers, this and this, are added together. Add the binary integers using binary addition and show your answer in binary. Show all your working. Okay, so let's start 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0. Then it's 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0. 0, 1, 1. Sorry. 0, 1, 1, and 0. Okay. 0 plus 0 is 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 1 is 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. Now 1 plus 1 is 2, and we write 2 in binary as 1 and 0. So we're going to keep 0 over here and carry 1. Now it again becomes 1 plus 1. 1 plus 1 is equals to 2, and we write 2 in binary as 1, 0. So we write 0 here, we carry 1. And 1 plus 0 gives us 1. So our binary addition for these two binary numbers is 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. The denary integer minus 32 is stored as 2 complements integer. Calculate the 2 complement integer that would be stored. We have to write minus 32. Let's write the powers first. 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128 with a negative sign. First, let's write what positive 32 will be written as. So we know it's going to be 1, and all of these would be 0. Now, the method for writing 2's complement is that we start from the right-hand side. We see the first one, which is at this point. We write this one as it is, and all the numbers that come after this would be inverted. Means 0 would be written as 1, and this 0 would also be written as 1. The numbers before the arrow remain the same. So our minus 32 written in binary would be as 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. A student uses both system software and application software on the computer. Give one example of system software. There are two system softwares. First is the operating system, and the next is the utility software. So we can write any one from these. Give two examples of application software. The application that we use over a computer, we can talk about the web browser here. We can talk about the social media apps. We can talk about the spreadsheets, the database, games, all of that. So you can write any two of them. Describe the difference between system software and application software. Okay, so system software manages the hardware and softwares used to manage the hardware and software. The application software allows the user to perform the required tasks and functions. The next question says, instructions are processed by a central processing unit, CPU, in a computer. Complete the paragraph about fetching an instruction into the CPU to be processed and use the terms from the list. Some of the terms in the list will not be used. You should only use a term once. Okay. In the fetch part of the execute cycle, we know that the first program counter, which is also known as PC, it contains the address at which the location address is basically the location at which the data will be found. Address of the next instruction to be processed. This is then sent to the memory address register. Using the address bus. The address is then sent to the dash. Now the address is sent to the RAM, random access memory. Once the address is received, the instruction stored at the location is then sent to the memory data register. Using the data bus. The instruction is then sent to the dash that is built into the dash. Then we know that the address is sent to the current instruction register to be decoded. That is built into the control unit. Let's move on. The CPU uses an instruction set to decode the instruction. State what is meant by the instruction set. So instruction set is the set of commands, machine code commands, that the computer needs to process the tasks. Question 6 says the table contains the statements about error detection methods. Complete the table by giving the correct error detection method for each statement. Let's read the first one. An odd or even process can be used. We know that there are two types of parity check, odd and even. So our first error detection method is the parity check. There can be even parity and odd parity. A value is calculated from the data using an algorithm. This happens before and after the data is transmitted. In checksum, we calculate a value from the data using the algorithm, and this is sent before the data is transmitted and after the data is received at the receiving end. A copy of the data is sent back to the sender by the receiver. This is the echo check. And acknowledgement and timeout are used. We know that acknowledgement and timeout are used in the ARQ, automatic repeat query. A value is appended to the data that has been calculated. Using the data, the value is checked on data entry. This is check digit. A computer has both media access control MAC address and an internet protocol IP address. Tick one box to show which of the statement is correct about the MAC address. MAC address, first statement says it is assigned by the manufacturer. It is assigned by a router. It can be static or dynamic. It is made up of three different parts. This is incorrect because the IP address can be static or dynamic. This is not made up of three parts either. And it is not assigned by the router either. It is assigned by the manufacturer. So our first statement is correct. An IP address can have an IPv4 or IPv6, IP version 4 or IP version 6 format. Give an example of the address that has an IPv version 4 format. We know that there are 4 groups. Each group is separated by a stop, a full stop, and the maximum we can represent is using 8 bits. So let's give an example here. Give 2 characteristics of the IPv6 format. So IPv6 format uses 16 bytes and hexadecimal values are used. Let's move to the next question. A company has a website that is suffering a distributed denial of service DDoS attack. Draw an annotated diagram to show the process of DDoS. We know that in the denial of service attack, the web server is bombarded with requests, and when it is unable to handle the request, it crashes. And this is done by a third party. We have to draw a diagram for this. It sends requests to a network of computer. There are many computers in this network. The third party sends malware to the network of computers, and this network of computer forwards the request to the web browser. The web server cannot handle the request and crashes. This network of computer, it acts as a bot and sends all the requests at once to the server. Identify a solution that can help prevent the DDoS attack being successful. We can install proxy servers that would minimize the effect of DDoS. Question 9 says company uses both solid state and optical storage devices. Explain why a computer needs secondary storage. Secondary storage is needed to store data and files permanently, and secondary storage acts as a virtual memory as well. Describe three differences between solid state and optical storage devices. In solid state drive, SSD we can say, has no moving parts. Optical has moving parts. SSD runs quietly without any noise. And optical produces noise. SSD has a larger storage capacity. Whereas optical has a smaller storage capacity. Question 10 says Garage uses an expert system to help diagnose any problems with the cars that need repair. The expert system is an example of artificial intelligence AI. Describe what is meant by AI. So AI has the ability to learn and adapt according to the requirements. A car has a problem. This is for 2 marks, so we can add another point that AI is the development of programs to stimulate the human behavior. A car has a problem with its braking system, so it is brought into the garage. Explain how the expert system operates and how it is used to help diagnose the problem. So to explain this, we would say that the user enters data into the interface. The interference engine does the diagnosis by comparing the data and answers to the knowledge base and the rule base. It outputs the result on the basis of its diagnosis, and the explanation system shows how the diagnosis was done. We need to mention the role of the knowledge and the rule base and how the diagnoses are done in this specific question. Then it says a company has a website. Users use the internet and the World Wide Web to access the website. We have to describe the difference between the internet and the World Wide Web. So internet, we know, is the infrastructure of World Wide Web. And World Wide Web is a collection of web pages displayed on the website. The website has a uniform resource locator URL. The URL has three different parts. Identify three different parts that are included in the URL. URL contains the protocol that is being used. It contains the domain name and the web page name. One function of a web browser is to provide an address bar for a user to enter a URL. Give three other functions of a web browser. We use web browser to display a website. We use web browser to store cookies. We use web browser to record the user history. And we also use a web browser to store bookmarks. This is it for our paper. Best of luck for your exams. Take care. Allah Hafiz and goodbye.